All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, in this explainer, we're unpacking a genuinely audacious theory from our source material. The idea that human DNA might actually hold a hidden extraterrestrial signature. And you'll definitely want to stick around for this, because it all builds up to a completely mind-bending mathematical mystery hiding right inside our very own cells, the mystery of 3-base DNA. It's a concept that totally challenges how we look at evolution, suggesting that our most basic genetic building blocks could be the result of intelligent, otherworldly design. So whether you're a hardcore skeptic or a total believer, the data points these researchers are bringing to the table are absolutely fascinating to explore.
1 in 10 trillion. Just let that sink in for a second. According to mathematicians and astrobiologists who've been digging deep into the human genome, those are the exact odds of a specific, highly ordered mathematical sequence occurring naturally in our genetic code. The source highlights some incredible research from 2013 that uncovered what genuinely appears to be an artificial stamp. It's an anomaly so mathematically precise that the chances of it happening organically border on the impossible.
So you might be wondering, what exactly pushed researchers to even start looking for these artificial stamps in the first place? Well, we have to ask ourselves what could possibly cause our genome to evolve at a rate 100 times faster than any previous 5,000-year period. Anthropologist Dr. John Hawks discovered that when mapping the human genome, there is an astonishing 7% shift in our DNA over just the last 5 millennia. By normal Darwinian evolutionary standards, that time span is just incredibly short for such a monumental biological change.
Section 1. The Alien DNA Hypothesis, Investigating Genetic Anomalies.
To start unraveling all of this, we really have to look at the timeline of some pretty bizarre leaps in our own human evolution. For instance, about 35,000 years ago, the Rh-negative blood type just suddenly appears out of nowhere. Then, 5,000 years ago, we get that massive 7% genetic shift I just mentioned. Fast forward to 2010, and biologists at the Max Planck Institute dropped the stunning announcement that early humans actually interbred with a completely unidentified mystery species. It paints a biological history that is just full of sudden, inexplicable interventions.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The source points to one anomaly in particular. According to researchers like Dr. John Altshuler, who has done extensive blood work and pathology on individuals claiming to be alien abductees, a staggering 60% of them share that extraordinarily rare blood type, Rh-negative. Theorists argue that this massive concentration might actually be a genetic data point. They think it hints at hybridization, serving as a specific biological marker that extraterrestrials are actively keeping tabs on.
Section 2. Modern Abductions, the Search for Biological Evidence.
You see, theorists believe these genetic manipulations aren't just ancient history. They think it's an ongoing program. Take the famous Betty and Barney Hill case from 1961. It's widely considered the first documented modern abduction. And while this New Hampshire encounter established that classic gray alien profile, it did something much more important for our topic today. It established a truly disturbing focus on human biology. Under hypnosis, the couple remembered being taken aboard a craft, subjected to physical experiments, and having biological samples, literally skin and sperm, harvested from them.
Fast forward to a completely bizarre encounter in 1992. A man named Peter Cowrie awoke paralyzed, facing 2 strange female entities right in his bedroom. When they vanished, they left behind a single, inexplicable strand of blonde hair. Biochemist Horace Drew eventually analyzed this hair, and his findings were stunning. He stated the hair was optically clear, practically like nylon fishing line, literally unlike any normal human hair found anywhere on Earth.
And when they actually ran the DNA analysis on that clear strand, the results absolutely defied conventional explanation. The shaft contained a super rare Chinese lineage, found in only 0.1% of ethnic Chinese populations. Yet, another part of that exact same hair showed a blue-eyed, Celtic, light-skinned lineage. For researchers looking at this impossible combination in a single strand, it immediately points to a long-standing, highly advanced genetic interbreeding program.
Okay, so this whole narrative of hybrids secretly living among us took a wildly bizarre turn in 2015. Police found the decomposing body of Jeffrey Allen Lash in an SUV. But the coroner noted something seemingly impossible. The body lacked any fingerprints whatsoever. And keep in mind, fingerprints are usually the very last tissue to decompose. Inside his home, authorities uncovered a massive arsenal: 1,200 guns, 7 tons of ammo, and $230,000 in cash. His fiancée's explanation?
She claimed Lash was an alien-human hybrid secretly working for the government. It is definitely an extreme case, but researchers point to it as exactly the kind of fringe evidence that bolsters this overarching hybridization theory.
Section 3. Ancient extraterrestrial encounters, messengers or visitors.
Now, if this program truly spans millennia, ancient astronaut theorists suggest we should be looking at religious texts not just as mythology, but as documented extraterrestrial contact. It is pretty wild how biblical accounts of divine interactions sound strikingly similar to modern UFO reports. You've got the prophet Ezekiel describing a flying metallic wheel within a wheel, with beings wearing what sound like oxygen masks. Then you have Moses disappearing for 40 days on Mount Sinai, only to return physically altered, his face glowing so intensely he had to cover it up. Theorists argue that an encounter with the divine shouldn't necessarily leave physical, biological changes on a person, unless that encounter was actually with advanced extraterrestrial technology.
And we see a similar pattern in historical Islamic accounts of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey in 610 AD. He is contacted by the angel Gabriel, taken aboard a winged entity called the Buraq, and transported from Mecca to Jerusalem and then up into the heavens, all in a single night. Researchers analyzing these texts point out that the physically impossible travel speeds, combined with being taken to other realms to receive divine knowledge, reads almost exactly like an orchestrated abduction scenario.
So by reframing these ancient stories, researchers ask a pretty profound question. Were these messengers of the gods actually extraterrestrial visitors? Were they intentionally seeding humanity with advanced knowledge and perhaps subtly altering our genetic makeup at the same time?
Section 4. A hidden genetic code, the mathematical anomaly. Which brings us right back to the most compelling clue in this entire explainer, the search for a literal, verifiable code hidden deep within human DNA. In May 2013, mathematician Vladimir Sherbak and astrobiologist Maxim Makakuv published a genuinely shocking study on the human genome. They didn't find fossilized spaceships or anything like that. Instead, they discovered what appears to be an extraterrestrial stamp right inside our biology, a highly precise mathematical pattern and symbolic language that flat out defies natural evolution. Remember that 1 in 10 trillion number we talked about at the very beginning? Yep, this is exactly where it comes from. For proponents of the ancient astronaut theory, this artificial mutation points to a truly audacious concept. The theory proposes that human beings were programmed, a lot like organic robots, by a highly advanced intelligence. Through this genetic manipulation, we were literally given our advanced intelligence, which is what sets us apart from every other species on Earth. And the wildest part? According to this theory, that code isn't just sitting in a lab somewhere, it is inside of you right now.
Section 5. The Mystery of 3. Biology meets theology.
All right, here is where it all comes together, the climax of the theory and the mystery of 3-base DNA. Consider the theological concept of the Holy Trinity, 3 divine persons making up one single entity. It's a classic mystery of faith, right? How can something be 1 and 3 at the exact same time? Well, theorists believe this power of 3 isn't just a theological metaphor. They suggest it's actually the mathematical key intended to connect humanity with our creators, written directly into our physical makeup.
But to truly understand this connection between biology and theology, we have to shift gears for a second and ask, how exactly does our DNA code for life? To find out, we look back to 1966 in New York, which is when scientists finally cracked the universal structure of how our DNA codes for proteins and creates human life. What those scientists discovered was absolutely revolutionary. They found that our genetic instructions don't operate one by one, and they don't operate in pairs. Instead, the language of our DNA is organized into very distinct clusters called codons. Essentially, they are triplets. And here is the ultimate reveal. Every single genetic command in your body, every instruction that builds exactly who you are, is clustered into precise combinations of 3 molecules. 3. The number 3 isn't just some ancient religious symbol, it is literally the absolute, foundational mathematical base of your biology. For ancient alien theorists, finding 3-based DNA at the absolute foundational level of our biological language is no coincidence. To them, it is the ultimate proof of ancient extraterrestrial tampering, just hiding right there in plain sight. It bridges the gap between the divine trinity written about in ancient texts and the literal physical reality of our genetic code. It is a massive theory to digest for sure. If we really are carrying this artificial, triune signature in our very cells, placed there thousands of years ago to fast-track our evolution, it leaves us with one incredibly profound question. Ancient texts from multiple cultures all promise that these divine messengers will one day come back. So, if our 3-based DNA is the signature of our cosmic architects, what exactly is their ultimate agenda? And what happens when the intelligence that wrote our code finally returns? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for exploring this with me, and